Coming up next on This Week in Google, I'm Jason Howell filling in for Leo. I'm here with Stacey Higginbotham and Kevin Toffel. We talk about the price of your face, improving voice detection for toddlers. We take a look, or Kevin takes a look at the Firewalla. There's a whole bunch of Chrome news, and also the Justice Department Antitrust review. We talk a little bit about that and so much more up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is This Week in Google, episode 518, recorded Wednesday, July 24th, 2019. It's a hot mesh.
This Week in Google is brought to you by Crest. The Crest 3D Whitening Kit removes over 10 years of tough, set-in stains to give you noticeably whiter teeth, 100% guaranteed. Get $20 off your first Crest 3D Whitening Strip Kit when you go to crestwhitesmile.com and enter the promo code TWIG at checkout. And by Ahrefs. Whether you work for a big brand, run your own small business, or do freelance work, getting traffic to your website is always a challenge. Ahrefs is an all-in-one SEO toolset that's here to help and give you the tools you need to rank your website in Google. To get a 7-day trial for only $7, go to Ahrefs, that's AHREFS.com to sign up.
It's time for This Week in Google. I'm Jason Howell filling in for Leo Laporte, who is vacationing somewhere in this country, this fine, fine country right now. Definitely not on the show today, but joining me on the show, of course, the return, Stacey Higginbotham, creator of the IoT Podcast at IoTpodcast.com and the Internet of Things newsletter at StaceyOnIoT.com. How are you, Stacey?
Man, I'm great. You did that all in one breath. You get a prize.
You know, my lung capacity, I've been working on it. Just so that I could introduce you once again. It's good to see you again.
Likewise.
And the new setup. I don't know that I've seen the new setup.
Oh, yes. This is I've moved to Washington State, living on Bainbridge Island setup.
Right on. Ooh. I like it. Looks good. It's good to see you. Also joining us, Jeff is out this week, so filling in Jeff's shoes. I don't know if they wear the same shoe size, but Kevin Toffel about Chromebooks.com and also IoTpodcast.com. How are you doing, Kevin?
Yes, I'm good, and I can guarantee you that I do not fit into Jeff's shoes, literally or figuratively. And I look like crap today. I'm working on my Wi-Fi after a device review today, so hopefully that will clear up over time.
That's all right. You don't look like crap. You look great.
You do. You're in soft focus.
Yes.
Barbara Wawa focus.
It's a new security thing to fuzz out my face so that way nobody can, use it for machine learning and such.
Yes.
Just a little Vaseline on the lens.
This is intentional. Well, it's good to have you. You also got a new pair of glasses, but we may hopefully later in the show get a clearer view of the glasses. But in blurry form, they look great.
Hey, I can see fine, so yeah. I'm good.
Yeah. Right on. Well, it's good to have you both here, and I'm happy to hop on with y'all on This Week in Google. Where do we even begin? I'm scanning through trying to find the obvious thing. Well, actually, okay. So when you've got a blurry video feed like you do, Kevin Toffel, then it prevents people from scanning your face, and so that'll be my segue into the top story that I chose on the fly. Did you hear this story about someone who apparently was propositioned $5 for a face scan by a Google employee? So apparently your face is only worth $5, and I guess that kind of seems
quite a bit.
Is it? I feel like it seems low, but.
They did a study probably in either 2012 or 2014 where they bought people's social security number for a cookie. So
okay, all right.
I feel like
by comparison,
wait, what flavor?
It was a chocolate chip cookie.
Okay, that's
it was a ProPublica.
That is plenty.
All right.
So I mean,
it's a good trade.
That's more of a barter as opposed to a dollar figure, but I feel that $5 for a face is fair. What did strike me is the fact that this guy was like, and it's not $5 cash, it's $5 at Starbucks or Amazon, I believe.
Yeah,
was it Amazon?
Gift card, yes. Amazon or Starbucks, right? Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious because, Amazon probably could use some faces themselves.
That's true. somewhat notable that they're not giving out their own Play Store gift cards, but also that makes a whole lot of sense that they wouldn't do that.
Gonna buy for $5 on the Play Store.
I mean, $5 aside, if this person or anybody offers $5 for Google to do that, does Google still have the right to scan their face in other photos and such? Like, are they getting anything other than the $5? Are they getting any extra privacy over their data?
That's a really good question. Like, I have to imagine. So what happened, at least in the ZDNet story, and I think there was one on 9 to 5 Google of another person that, they had a report of this happening, but they were sitting in the park. Man walks up to them and offers $5 to scan their face. They say, I work for Google. We're collecting data to improve the next generation of facial recognition phone unlocking. So reasonably specific as far as what they're saying that they're using it for. Who knows if they have more uses for this face scan than just that, but that's what they're telling people. And then they were given a phone in a case that made it difficult to discern what the phone was. Many people are positing that it might be the Pixel 4 because there might be a sensor on the Pixel 4 that would facilitate face scanning in order to unlock. And then you use the phone to take a selfie at different angles to get the different kind of direction shots on your face. And then you're handed this $5 Amazon and Starbucks card. And I have to imagine if you're agreeing to this, you must either sign something or maybe there's something in the app that you're taking the selfie with.
They did give him a contract. He just didn't read it. Oh. Which is unfortunate because I would actually... I'm like, for $5, I would like to see what you're giving over.
Yes.
Well, I mean, he's writing about his friend who's an engineer and
who
was probably like, yeah, I'll give you my face. That's
whatever.
Cool.
Yeah, probably one of those. They've already got everything. So what's my face? Who cares?
Yeah, his exact quote was, yeah, well, I wanted to see what they'd ask me to do.
Exactly.
I don't care what they're going to do with it. I just want to know what they want me to do.
Curiosity.
Sure.
I mean, without seeing the contract, we don't know much more. I'm actually wondering if this wasn't a face scan, but a face scam.
Ooh.
In that maybe this wasn't Google at all.
Because that's a really good question.
Yeah, I'm thinking, why would Google have to go out and do this when they have between contractors and regular employees, 80, 90,000 faces to scan already? Well, I don't really see the point of them going out in the public and doing this.
What they don't have is someone playing with their phone trying to unlock it. That's what this was for. This was I'm with Jason. I think this was testing the Pixel 4's unlock feature. And so they needed someone to be able to kind of look at it from various angles.
Huh. Yeah, that could well be. But I mean, when I was at Google, most of the people I work with actually carried iPhones. So if you wanted like a new user group, you got it there. Trust me, they have it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know that I read anything about them actually, like in this report, there was nothing in there that said that he was actually unlocking the phone with his face. They were just scanning it from multiple directions. I just wasn't sure if
what did Google
they were
say?
Actually using the Pixel 4. I don't know.
Nothing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that we've heard Google say anything. If it was a scam, they probably would have by now. Right?
This is an assumption. I naturally asked Google what it would be doing, but the company didn't immediately respond. Okay.
All right.
Let's call Google. Let's see what they have to say right now.
I wish, that would be so awesome if we had a hotline, like a bat phone to the Google PR team. I mean, it'd probably be the PR team, but if we had an actual Google person who would talk to us, that'd be even better. But
yeah. We wouldn't do it. We would do it like 3, maybe 4 times before we realized they always give us the same answer.
I think that's more effective, actually. Just,
we have nothing
you're not
to
going
announce
to talk
at this
about
time.
Yes, exactly. We have nothing to announce at this time. Okay, well that bit is done. I guess we're done with that one. But I am curious to know what this leads to. Kevin, I had the same question. It's kind of like Google is already cataloging all of this information in the cloud, like insane amounts of data and on faces with Google Photos and all this kind of stuff. It's not like they don't have plenty of data to work with, but maybe it's just the fact that data hasn't been cleared for this particular application, and in this way, it's a little more explicit, maybe kind of above board in doing it in such an explicit sort of way. I don't know.
Or maybe like this guy doesn't say if his friend, I mean, is this friend white? Is this friend black? Is this friend, because there is a variety angle that could be important here in terms
Does he have
of
2 heads?
Does he have 2 heads? That is, there's probably not a lot of data about that.
Mm-hmm. What if he has no face, like no face at all?
Right.
A blank face. It's possible. Not very possible, but it's possible.
I feel like we're moving down a rabbit hole we shouldn't go down to.
All right. Yes, I think you're right.
We're talking about faceless face scans. We're done.
Yeah. We've reached the end of that one. But I am excited to see if we'll find something along these lines in the Pixel 4. Although the idea of a Pixel 4 without a fingerprint sensor that's all in on face scanning makes me a little nervous. I don't know.
I don't like it.
Yeah? Like, I just don't know that I'm ready for that, but I haven't used the iPhone 10
the leaks
long
we've
enough
seen don't have a fingerprint sensor on the back.
They don't.
And they don't have a space for it on the front.
So
maybe they have the ultrasonic one as part of.
Hope so.
I mean, that's an option, but those aren't awesome. But yeah,
could be in the power button. That's been done before.
That has been done before.
That's small?
Sony has done it a couple times. And
really? Oh, I guess you're right. You're right.
Yeah, Sony's definitely done that. I feel like we've seen it elsewhere as well. But I feel like any of the renders that have been leaked about the Pixel 4 don't seem to allude to that. I haven't read anything about that. I also haven't really read any of the rumors about specs that have leaked to indicate that there's an in-display fingerprint sensor. Anything that we feel like we know with almost certainty is the fact that there just isn't a fingerprint sensor that's visible. But not hearing anything that seems conclusive about an in-display fingerprint sensor. And even if it is an in-display, it's just not my preference. Like, I've used a number of phones with the in-display fingerprint sensor and at this point, and it's just not as ideal. For me, I like having the hardware button somewhere on the device.
I do too, but I also liked having the headphone jack, and here I am.
Yeah, right. That's true. You get used to it.
I'm like, or you just accommodate and move on. But I am
Pixel
excited.
3a forever.
I was going to say, I am excited about the Pixel 4 because I just cracked my Pixel 2. It's not a huge crack, so I can handle it. But I'm like, ooh, it's almost time to upgrade my phone.
Did you crack?
What will I get?
The display or the back?
You could get exactly.
I cracked the display.
You could get pretty much the same phone with the headphone jack right now.
Yep.
That's the Honor.
The 3A. The 3A is just as fast as the 2, and it's got a headphone jack, and I love it. And I'm just trying to get more people to buy it.
You are. You're like everybody else. Get on the bandwagon. Come on, 3A forever.
How much is the 3A, Karsten?
$400.
All right.
Yeah, $479.
Yeah,
if you get the expanded storage version, if I remember correctly, which you probably want to do if you're getting the 3A.
Well, the base is 64, which I think is not that bad.
And it's got night
expanded
sight.
Is 128, which is nice.
It does. Has the same camera.
Yeah,
all the
got
features.
The same.
I think
it's got
maybe
the better
-1.
camera than yours currently.
So no.
Yeah. So no.
And it really does have so it has a headphone jack and USB?
A headphone jack and USB-C and the same camera as the 3.
I'm sold.
And it's so nice.
Yeah, it is. It is a really great phone.
I'm sure I told you about this phone months ago.
But I didn't need it, and I don't remember the specs.
I wasn't in the market then.
Okay. My bad. Bad timing.
It really is a fantastic phone, especially for the price.
I don't want the XL.
$399.
$399.
Baby.
Yeah.
All right.
There
Thank you,
go.
Karsten.
Or you can wait 3 months and find out what the 4 is all about. But who knows? Maybe less than 3 months. I have a hard time believing that Google would confirm the leaked images so early on and then wait practically 6 months until the phone gets announced. Like that seems like a long time for them to like reveal something very solid, as solid as they did when they confirmed those promo images a few months ago.
Well, we're within 3 months now of an October.
We're within almost 2 months.
So
2 months and a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, this feels about the time when we start getting hyped up for our fall device cycle.
Oh yeah, that hype is happening.
Yeah.
The Note 10 and the Note 10 Plus. Apparently, there's going to be 2 different sizes of the Note 10, so there's going to be your super large Note 10 as we're used to, and then an even larger Note 10 Plus, at least larger display. Apparently, they're going to fit it in the same design, but just grow the display even further. So, what does that mean from a cost perspective? Because the Note 9 already costs more than $1,000. And if there's a larger Note 10 than the base Note 10, what are we talking about? $1,300? I don't know, but really expensive.
You actually had on the screen just now, you had the rumored prices in euros of $9.99 and $11.99 or $11.49.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, $11.49 in euros, whatever that is.
$11.49 for the 10 Plus. There it is. Okay.
Money.
Right, but chances are it's not going to be a conversion.
$1,500.
It would switch to $999 and $11.49 in dollars, is my guess.
Yeah. Okay. Still very
Still a lot
expensive.
of money.
Yeah, still a lot of money, no matter how you slice it.
That's 3 Pixel 3As.
That's true.
I just got it. I'm like sold.
You can
I'll
outfit your family, everyone with Pixel 3As, and I mean, it's a really great.
I'm giving
phone.
this one to my daughter because the crack is at the very bottom of the screen. So
okay, put a screen protector on it in a case, and you're fine.
There's already a case, although it's
Okay.
a live case, and I'm sad because it's
No more live cases.
Yeah, that's right. Pour one out for live case homies. Let's see here. What else do we have? We've got a lot of things. I think I'm overwhelmed with options.
we have so many things. We just don't have great segues.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
I'm sitting here looking like,
I'll apologize in advance. I got a really bad night of sleep last night, and I was doing Windows Weekly earlier today, and I was just realizing while I was doing the show, it's been a long time since I've had this bad of a night of sleep that it's affecting me today. Like I feel like normally I can just like fly with it on these shows, and I'm having a hard time with my segues. I guess
Stacey,
is what I'm saying.
you could get your Pixel 2 fixed, but I don't know where you're going to be able to find an ad to find a business.
That's true.
To fix it.
Yeah, you won't be able to do that.
Segue.
That was
are
good.
We 20 minutes in?
That-
Excellent.
That was good.
Nice.
So I think what you're talking about is not an in-house ad, but an article by Kevin Purdy at iFixit. So basically, yeah. So this is interesting. So Google had some rules that they implemented not too long ago. I think this was last October, that banned tech support by third-party providers for consumer tech products and online services from actually appearing in search results. And the idea here was to target what ends up being a lot of like bait and switch operations, like, hey, clean your PC. You do somebody hops online because their computer's really slow. They're like, repair my computer, and you get a website for a place that is really just more of a fraud offer than it is, some sort of actual reputable repair company. And so Google took action on this and actually has made it difficult, next to impossible, for companies like that to have display ads that appear in search results. So, if I'm in the Bay Area and I do a search for a local repair shop, I'm not going to get ads for my local repair shop because they also fall into the same category or are being lumped into the same category as these fraud outfits. And that's kind of the point of Kevin Purdy's article is, hey, that's not right. There are a lot of legitimate repair outfits out there, repair businesses, and they aren't getting the views that they need in Google search results in order for their businesses to thrive in the way other businesses can enjoy. And it's just kind of interesting that this very legitimate, segment of the electronics market is basically left out in the cold because Google's implemented something to clamp down on fraud outfits. And
this happened. Yeah. This started actually almost a year ago, if I recall correctly.
Yep. Last October.
Last October. Okay, so Google said they were going to have like a verification process to kind of weed out the good guys from the bad guys here, but maybe they are still working on that process. But it doesn't sound like it shouldn't take a year for that.
Wouldn't think, especially if it's like consistently affecting, these businesses. Like a year is a long time. And there could
that
be
is the future of a business right there.
Right, exactly. If you're running a business and you relied on that, and then suddenly it's gone, a year could mean you're out of business. You're no longer a business. So, yeah, they had promised some sort of a verification program. It still does not exist, and I don't think there's any indication whether Google's actually still working on it or they've just decided they want to make another messaging app. So it's also...
It gets to the issues that, basically it's very easy to figure out how to game an algorithm, right? It's easy for humans to figure out ways to game computers. It's very hard for people to then come in and fix that in a way that doesn't affect everyone. So, we'll see this again and again.
And it shows the power that Google has on the whole internet, even though they're just a subset of it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Yeah. It's actually led iFixit itself, which Kevin Purdy is writing for, to remove a referral service that they had integrated into their site because they were being swept in it too. They were putting users in touch with local certified techs to help them out. And because they were making that connection, Google kind of lumped them into this category. So certain search terms, they wouldn't allow for. And so they had to remove it in order to appear for those search terms because iFixit, of course, is all about fixing your computers and your technology and all this kind of stuff. So they are a part of it as well. I'm actually talking with Kevin Purdy tomorrow on Tech News Weekly. He's booked for the show, so talk to him about this. But yeah, it's an interesting byproduct of I think the goal here was good by Google, but the follow through apparently not so much.
We need a hotline to Danny Sullivan.
Yes, that's what the phone would connect to. Our Google phone would connect to Danny Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Hello,
that's what we need. That's how we can get him on the show again.
There you go. There are a bunch of all of the FTC approvals and the court case approvals for Google. Do we want to talk about some of those?
Yeah,
one
totally.
of them I'm super into, and one of them I completely forgot about, and I'm like, oh, which kind of shows how slow these things can be. This is
kidding.
The court system.
Yeah, so you're talking about the number of lawsuits that seem to have all reached some sort of a settlement in the last week, right?
Yeah,
all
this
these
is the
things,
July
boom,
of settling.
Hey, Google can feel like the weight of the world isn't resting so heavily on its shoulders.
Well, they're just about to get swept up in another FTC investigation, but these are all.
Exactly. Just clearing the path for something bigger. Busy week for Google in the reaching settlements side of things. Why Spy, which dated back to 2010. I
forgot totally about that.
Yeah.
That's where the Google Street View cars went through and took your pictures of everything for Street View, but they also sucked up your Wi-Fi access point data. And apparently the settlement only goes to a couple people who filed the case, which honestly makes sense because I'm not living. Even if they sucked up my Wi-Fi data, it's totally different like 9 years later.
Yeah.
I'm 2 houses removed from that situation.
That's true. But what data did they suck up at that point? And, for some people, they would not be okay with any data, I suppose. This, of course, only happened from unencrypted Wi-Fi access points. So if you were encrypted, you're okay. Unencrypted, you are one of of many who received a total of $13 million of a payout.
So, hey, if you have a Nest product, they already have your Wi-Fi bits anyway. So
yeah, that's
they
true.
have my Wi-Fi bits all over the place. So many products. The other one was age discrimination.
Yep.
And I was surprised. I don't know if I didn't remember this, but it's job applicants over the age of 40. I thought it was like 50. So I'm now of an age where I can be discriminated against, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, me too. It's hard.
We're all over the hill. Face it, we're useless.
Class action suit represented 200 people. And let's see here. Google still denies and disputes that discrimination occurred. However, they agreed to an $11 million settlement, which comes out to about $35,000 each. So, I mean, I guess that's a good settlement for those people. Although,
implementing some practices to rectify that would have been better.
Would have been better.
Actually fixing the problem.
Yes. I'm not saying it absolves Google.
And $35,000, I mean,
actually not that
that's
much.
What, like a month?
There are school teachers in. Yeah,
it's a good payout for a teacher. That's for sure.
There are teachers in Alabama who get paid more than that. So that's how kind of lame it is.
Yeah, I guess I just can't help but put it into the context of like of a class action suit where you get in on it and then you get your check in the mail and you open it up and it's like 13 cents. So I was like, all right, $35,000. It's better than the 13-cent check I've received for class action.
Okay, yeah, that's at least worth the
that's worth the postage at least. Yeah.
And then high now.
And then the last one involves minors using YouTube and violations of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. I'm less aware about the specifics of this one. There isn't actually a public disclosure of the figure of the settlement, but yeah.
So yes, the reason you're unclear is because the FTC hasn't made it public and the company hasn't made it public. So it's not your fault. It's not your sleepless night.
Thank you.
So the Justice Department's going to come in and either approve or tweak the settlement.
Okay.
So I think that's the issue. I'm interested in this mostly because I have a kid who's about to turn 13, although I'm interested also in the sense that I'm like, my child who's about to turn 13, but still she's still a kid. So that's just me.
Google runs into this quite a bit. I see it in the education space with Chromebooks, and it's typically, in my opinion, not Google's fault when you have kids under the age of 13 with, Chromebooks that were given by the school, but then those Chromebooks are not properly managed by the school's IT department, and the kids have carte blanche to surf and go wherever.
Right.
But yet it often comes back to Google, like, hey, what's going on here? And they make the tools and they make everything available, but you still have to actively manage these things. And I think this is one of the trickiest bits of legislation or laws that any of these tech companies have to deal with, because the technology is so accessible. You can have a 5-year-old kid who can walk up to an iPad or a Fire tablet and just start using it. And, well, wait a second, did they agree to all the proper terms of service and so on? There's just so much that is a challenge with copy. It's a great thing, trust me. I believe that, but the technology is just so accessible for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back in like a couple of months ago, there was a group that sued on behalf of kids with Amazon and Google and smart speakers collecting information and keeping them. But the challenge there is that back in 2017, the FTC actually tried to explain how COPA would affect digital speakers. And they were like, yeah, it's okay. They said it will not take an enforcement action against an operator for not getting parental consent before collecting the audio file with a children's voice when it's fulfilling a search request, as long as it's only held for a small amount of time. This lawsuit rests on the idea that they keep it. So I think there's also, it's not just difficult, like, is there a 13-year-old or younger trying to use my services, but it's also, what are they using it for? How can we separate their data so we can treat it differently? And it's a mess. Yeah. And then tracking all that's a nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And what do you think about this Google patent titled "Gamifying Voice Search Experience for Children"? So this is kind of related. It involves turning search into a gamified experience for toddlers. So they're working on ways to improve voice search for kids, because when they are using when kids, and toddlers might be a little young, but when kids, and I know I've seen it with my youngest, when she's using the Google Home, a lot of times her search query because maybe she stutters or gets nervous or maybe slows down her speech and stops talking for a second. She's trying to figure out how she wants to query it or whatever. The Google Home will react incorrectly to that. And so Google is thinking, hey, we've got to come up with ways to make this more facilitating for younger children. Also screening out inappropriate content when it knows that there is a younger child using the device, that sort of stuff. What do you think?
I think less the gamification, but the ability to identify a child using the system and then reacting appropriately, such as screening, is something that Google is probably incredibly interested in doing.
Totally.
Just because it's a vision for the smart home that actually makes a lot of sense. And I think we may talk about it in a little bit, but one of the examples that Rishi Chandra gave when he was talking about the smart home was, and I could be wrong, it could have been the writer of the piece who gave this example, but when you walk into, or when you're listening to inappropriate music and your kid walks into the room, it turns off, which anybody, like my sister-in-law loves her gangster rap, and I could totally see her really appreciating a feature like that. But or maybe your kid's listening to inappropriate music, and when you walk into the room, it turns off.
Yes, they'll turn it they'll turn it in the other direction.
But
that would have been useful for me when I was a kid.
Yeah, so it may not. The writer may have hit on the gamification angle as part of the patent, but it may be something else in there that's more interesting to Google, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Kevin doesn't agree.
No, I agree with everything you said. I just kind of wish that the local on-device natural language processing that's Google showed off at Google I/O, where they'll basically push down or push up what it's learned from the model up to the cloud, and therefore make everybody's NLP experience better. If they can do that with the kids as well, because that's not sending the actual data at that point of the speeches, what the kids are saying. It would actually just say, hey, this didn't seem accurate. We need to make this better in the model, and that information, the metadata goes up, not the kid's actual conversation.
I like that.
So I would rather see that than some kind of gamified Google voice search for kids.
Yeah, and mind you, this is just a patent, so this isn't like.
Although if anyone's seen the little YouTube video of the little toddler trying to get, I think it's Madam A to play Baby Shark, and tries so hard. It is really heartbreaking. I mean, it is so frustrating. Anytime you see a little kid try to use these things, you're just like, oh, little kid.
Yeah, especially if I've had many moments where I'm watching my kids, like they love using our Google Home to play music. They love putting on dance shows and everything. And I'd say it works for them about 75% of the time. The other 25% of the time, it totally should work. Like I listen to their query, they've learned it by now, they know how to control Google Home, but for whatever reason, time and time again, they repeat the command, and then I come over and do it, and it works for me. So, it's frustrating. It's frustrating watching your kids do this. Now, at the same time, another thing that this article pointed out is this idea that, as Google works on creating voice control for younger children, some people are worried that this in turn hooks kids too young on the technology, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but I'm curious to know what you think, because I feel like it's just kind of part of it's part of the world we live in at this point.
Well, voice is natural. I don't know
what the right age is.
This is actually developmentally a lot better than if they're talking to Google rather than interacting with Google on a screen.
Yeah.
This is working out the kid's voice is actually a beneficial thing for them.
Yeah.
And Google, or no, it was Amazon. Google may have this too, but a polite mode. They listen to parents who are like, look, my kid is being a total jerk to these things, and I would like that not to happen. So they're even making efforts. And if we don't call it gamification and we just call it like teach your kids how to talk to something like a respectful entity, maybe the ability to turn something like that on helps. I mean, because even as adults, not all adults, but some adults, when you're talking to a kid, you generally give them more slack, maybe wait a little longer when they're trying to come up with words. And, you speak differently to toddlers. So, yeah, I think this is way better. If they start implementing like dark patterns to keep my kid hooked, then we've got issues.
Yeah, I think the ship has sailed on this anyway. I mean, there are kids that their first words are actually the wake words for these devices. I don't want to say them because I don't want to set everybody's off. But, and I agree with what Karsten said. I mean, it's more intuitive, natural. It's far better than interacting with a screen. So,
yeah, I agree. All right, so today we're doing something a little different. It is time to take a break. But I'm not going to give you that break. Leo is going to come back from his vacation really quick, sit in this chair, and give you that break right now.
Thanks, guys. Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to mention our sponsor. Maybe you noticed how white my teeth have been lately. It's because I'm using these incredible Crest 3D white strips. I love my coffee. I love wine. All that food and drink over the years takes a toll on how your teeth look. If your teeth are looking a little yellow, that makes you look a little bit older. That's why I love the Crest 3D Whitening Kit. It removes over 10 years of tough set-in stains from coffee, wine, and smoking to give you noticeably whiter teeth, 100% guarantee. People will look at you and say, "What are you doing? Did you lose weight? You look younger. What's going on?" You can tell them, or you don't have to. It's the Crest 3D Wipe Strips. By the way, this is the same treatment you can get at the dentist's office, but it's a lot less expensive. Hundreds of dollars less than those expensive dental treatments for the same results. In fact, they're using the same active ingredient dentists use to whiten your teeth, hydrogen peroxide. These soft, sticky little strips go right on your teeth. You sit there. I watch a TV show. By the time it's done, the strips are done. But then, this is the extra part. It uses this LED blue light to help target stains, and that makes the ingredients work faster and better than just white strips alone. This is exactly the same LED light technology dentists use. Crest white strips are amazing. No gels, no trays. You put them on in your own house. No slip grips, so you can talk, you can drink water during the treatment. That's fine. But you'll love how you look when you take those strips off. You won't believe it. It's guaranteed to deliver 100% noticeably whiter teeth. And if you're not satisfied, your money back. It worked for me. Right now, listeners of our show can get $20 off your first Crest 3D Whitening Strip Kit by going to crestwhitesmile.com and use the promo code TWIG at checkout. Free shipping included. If you've ever seen these on TV or you've seen them in the store and you've wondered, do those work? Let me tell you, I've done dental whitening. This is a lot easier, a lot less expensive, and it works for me. It works just as well for a lot less. The Crest 3D White Strips Dental Whitening Kit. This is an amazing, amazing product. CrestWhitesmile.com. And if you use the promo code TWIG, $20 off your first Crest 3D Whitening Strip Kit. We thank Crest so much for their support. And I thank you for supporting TWIG by trying them. You're going to love them. CrestWhitesmile.com, promo code TWIG.
Thank you, Leo. Maybe you weren't in this exact chair, but you were in another chair in this room. And now back to your vacation. We'll talk to you later. What do you say we talk a little bit about IoT here? Google Nest Max.
I don't know. Kevin and I don't know anything about
I know. I realize I'm just like, I'm taking a big risk. But I thought we should just like change things up a little bit.
All right, shake it up.
Google Nest Max. Are you guys excited for this? Apparently it's going to be out September 9th, $229. It's the device that has the 10-inch display and the camera for video chat. Finally has a date and a price. What do you think?
So we were so not excited about this that we didn't even talk about it on the show this week.
Cool. I'm happy I led with it in the IoT block.
But hey, we can share our thoughts now.
We have larger screen devices already,
Yeah.
right? I have a 10-inch Lenovo Smart Display, so.
And I do too. And we never use it to talk to each other. Aw.
And the Lenovo Smart Display does have a camera? It does, right?
It does.
Oh, yeah.
And it has does it have a manual shutter? I think it does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So, yes,
like, yeah,
I
whatever.
love this device. It sits on my desk. It's right in front of me, and it mostly shows me pictures and the weather. And it actually still shows it to me in Austin time because Google, I thought I reset it, but apparently haven't reset that one yet. So.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, then how about this? Rishi Chandra, the VP of Product and GM at Google Nest, actually chatted with Forbes. He says some interesting things about the smart home. He actually says no one asked for smartness for the smart home. And he alludes to the fact that Google is deviating away from smart home, moving more toward helpful home. Is this a difference with, what is the saying? A change with no difference or whatever? What do you think?
Semantics.
Semantics, yes.
Yeah.
Partially. I mean, at I/O, Google said, the new assistant will be more helpful. They touted helpful all throughout. Yeah. So I think it's a trying to rebrand a little bit, and also to get people to stop talking about, well, smart devices collect my data, and so on and so forth. Helpful means to me, well, if you give us some of your data, we'll be more helpful. So hopefully it's trying to tamper down that, is my thought.
Instead of it being an all-knowing device, it's a device that can assist you. It can actually provide value and help in your life.
And this is
semantics.
nothing.
Yeah, total semantics.
This isn't actually different from it. When Google bought Nest and Tony Fadell was in charge of this, he actually went in very early on. Like, I remember a Wall Street Journal op-ed in like late 2014, early 2015, where he was like, look, the smart home concept is dumb. We want the intuitive home. We want a home that anticipates your needs and gets there. And you know what? Bless their hearts. They have been trying this forever. We are not there yet. The reason we're not there yet, or one of the big reasons, is there are no standards. And so until we see, and Google actually, Rishi addresses that later in the interview, but they basically talk about it like they're streamlining what they're doing, which they are. By getting rid of the Nest APIs, Google's bringing everything under one controllable place. And they will still do integrations. I do believe that. But this is not news. This is frustrating because we've known this is the problem. We know why it's happening, and it's still happening because no one wants to have real standards in interoperability.
Yeah, I mean, Rishi points that out in the interview. He says that he's hopeful that standardization will occur, and actually compares it to like web browsers back in the day. Web
so
browsers
instead of being hopeful, Rishi, why don't you do something about it? You're Google.
Yep, no, that's true. Turns out,
I mean, that's like me.
You have
That's
the
like me
potential
with my
sway.
Yeah, in my household, saying to my daughter, "Man, I hope you get food on the table tonight. That would be awesome." Yeah, it would. Maybe I should do something about it.
Oh,
All right,
a good
I'm
idea
sorry.
you got there.
That would be helpful.
That would be a helpful home.
Even smart. Who knows? Okay.
Both could exist. That both are true. Kevin, you wrote about on this site called StacyOnIoT.com plug. You wrote about the Firewalla. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is a really small but powerful device. I mean, it's literally the size of a USB phone charger. It's very small. You connect it to your router at home, and it just kind of hangs off there. And what it does is it's like a network monitoring tool on steroids. And I say that because there are some good networking monitoring tools out there. Like Stacy has Eero and its subscription to, kind of track what's going on with her network and her data. But this actually takes it a whole step further. It literally tracks for all of your devices all the way through to the final endpoint servers. So you can see, for example, like my Wisecam, I wanted to be sure it wasn't sending my videos to a server in China. It tells you exactly where these videos are going when they get uploaded. And I find out they're on Amazon Web Services, and I got the IP address, and it tells me that it's actually using the June API, so it's all legit. So the idea here is that all of your devices, not just your phones, TVs, tablets, and computers, but everything is monitored, and you can see exactly where the data is going. So from an IoT standpoint, this is just spectacular, in my opinion. It has a ton of other features. It has a built-in VPN server, which is fantastic because there's no subscription fee. The server is actually in your house, and it's there if you want it. And I tested that out, and I wanted to make sure that I could stream video content, from away from home. And sometimes that's a challenge when you go outside of your home network area, or, you're in a country that maybe doesn't support Netflix, you're kind of out of luck. But because the VPN server's in your house, Netflix doesn't know that I'm connecting through my home VPN. So it serves up the content wherever I'm at, which is fantastic. And again, no subscription fees. Other features it has, it detects malware on your network and on your devices. You can block porn sites, you can block social media, you can block gaming, and you can even do that for like a set amount of time for the entire family with the touch of a button. Just block all social networking for an hour, boom, and done. It's got a built-in ad blocker, again, whole home, not device by device. Everything gets blocked on all devices when it comes to ads with this thing. And there was one other feature that I thought was fantastic, and now I'm drawing a blank. But Stacy read my post, so she's going to remind me, right?
I'm not, because I was reading about the FTC Facebook settlement, because I already knew about Firewalla. Oh no!
Yeah. So regardless, the device, I think the normal price for the lower version, by that I mean it's really meant to for home networks that can handle up to 100 megabits per second. That device is $129.99 on sale for $109.99 right now. I tested the blue Firewalla, which goes up to or supports up to 1 gigabit per second connections. And that is normally $199 now on sale for $179. So really, I was very impressed. I did have a problem, and in fact, that's why I'm fuzzy right now. With Google Wi-Fi network routers, the only way I could get it work, and it's a known issue with the Firewalla folks, I had to basically disable the mesh network and just use a single access point with the Firewalla. And obviously that's not great, but the feature set was so outstanding that I tell you, I almost could live with one access point. So I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. If you want to know where your connected device data is going, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So my question for Kevin after hearing this was, this is not the first time Kevin has had Google Wi-Fi problems. Google Wi-Fi behaves badly with, I think was it your Ring doorbell, or was something?
The Ring was an issue for a while. Yes, that's correct.
And then something else that you had. And I was like, Kevin, I think it might be time to get rid of the Google Wi-Fi. And Kevin is...
I mean, I could. Absolutely, I could. I think the Ring issue that I had to do with the 2.4 gigahertz requirement, and mesh networking in general kind of bonds together your 2.4 and your 5 gigahertz networks. So that may or may not be specific to Google Wi-Fi. I have had a couple problems. In general, it's been pretty good. I could swap it out, but it's like another router mesh network setup is going to cost me $200 or $300, and this pretty much works
frankly,
fine.
I don't pay you enough.
I didn't say that. No, it's not. I mean, ever since having not really worked full time for 2 years, I'm watching my budget. So it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell.
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
Yeah.
Secret's out.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. Yeah, the mesh factor can definitely mess things up. I have the Eero at home, and just full disclosure, Eero is a sponsor of the Twit Network. But I have a particular smart plug for outside, and it requires 2.4 gigahertz. And because it's a mesh network on the inside, there was no way for me to get the smart plug to recognize the network the way it needed to. It's like, because of that mesh network kind of split between 2.4 and 5, there was no way for me to lock it in. So I had to do some really interesting things, like pulling the device far enough away that it would trick it into only connecting to one and not the other, right, in order to get it to connect and just set it up. And then once it was set up, it was fine. But it was just like getting that initial connection. Sometimes that can be a challenge.
The whole 2.4 gigahertz in just about all these connected devices of late has annoyed the crap out of me, as Stacy knows. And at CES, we always talk to all these vendors. Why are you doing that? You're missing out with mesh networking and causing problems. And I think it really comes down to cost, the cost of the chips. You could, Jason, or anyone else, if you have a 2.4 gigahertz specific device for your house, some guest networks on routers will let you set the band or the channel. So that's an option potentially.
Oh, okay. Even though it's like a distributed like mesh network throughout your home, the guest network, you can lock that into a particular band on some of these devices?
I don't think Stacy, the guest network, I don't think is truly a mesh network at that point, is it?
My mesh network on Eero is my guest network is a mesh network on Eero. Others may do it differently, but it is still a mesh.
Yeah.
There are things like
it's such a mesh.
It's a mesh, and everyone's going to behave a little bit differently. So your mileage may vary depending on who you have, because again, the mesh it is standardized, but no one's using the Wi-Fi lines as standard for it. So
right.
Easy mesh. Yeah.
Easy mesh.
Nobody's using easy mesh.
Yeah. So the answer here is, try. The answer basically is try a different mesh router, which is a terrible answer to give anyone.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Absolutely. Why don't we stay with things that you guys are writing? Chrome. We can kind of hop into a little Chrome news here. Chrome OS 76 stable is coming to Chromebooks next month. Kevin, you wrote about this at aboutchromebooks.com. What are some of the features that you're excited about?
Well, the biggest feature is, that I like anyway, is the virtual desktops. And I don't know if other people use these on their Windows, Mac, or Linux machines now, but Chrome OS is finally getting virtual desktops where you can have up to 4 desk places, workspaces, whatever you want to call them, and that way you can group your different apps and tabs into separate sections. Maybe you want one for social media, maybe you want one for work, one for content consumption. So again, it's been standard on a lot of desktop platforms in the past. It's finally, I think it was coming in 73 and they get push. It's coming in 76. It works pretty well. I've been testing it. They just figured out how to make a 4-finger swipe to swipe through your desktops, kind of like you use 3 fingers to swipe through open tabs. So I'm like super psyched over that one right there. So I don't know if do you guys use or will you use virtual desks? Like Stacy's got a Mac, for example.
Yeah, I was like, no.
No.
I mean,
I don't have a Chrome. Well, so I don't have a Chromebook, and this is just Chrome. I've tried to stop using Chrome as much.
Why?
How come? Out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Just because I like playing with other browsers. So that's just me.
Okay.
I've been using Brave a lot. It works really well on mobile, and it's got a few bugs on desktop, but it's, I don't know, I like it.
I have used Brave. What else have I been
And Brave browser is based on, is it based on?
Brave is Chromium.
Chromium.
Okay.
It's got one key combination that doesn't work. It's got a bug on paste as normal formatting, which is a very specific deal killer for me, but no one else. But other than that, it's just like Chrome, except much less ads and tracking cookies. So it's very nice.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're a publisher.
Quantum, which is the Firefox one. I was like, I was trying to remember what I was like, Firefox, Fire something. So.
So I will definitely use the virtual desktop because I use that all the time on my Mac computer in the other room. So I like having kind of the multiple spaces to be able to swipe between and stuff.
It's like having external monitors, only they're not external at that point, which is really, really handy. So
you just kind of have to remember what's where and everything. But if you get it set up the right way for you, then that becomes pretty easy.
Android has a feature that I guess Chrome is kind of replicating back in Chrome 76 or Chrome OS 76. Send to self, so you can push web pages to your other devices. So instead of from a phone to a computer, now it's you push a web page or something from Chromebook to any other device that has Chrome. So that's kind of handy.
Okay.
Is it like Chromecasting? Like I could push it to a TV if I've got a Chromecast in it, or?
I think it's more like a web page sending from one browser to another, from one device to another. Chromecasting is pretty much built into Chrome OS, so
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
well, there is another feature that if you're a publisher, you probably don't like coming to Chrome 76, and that is that Google is making some changes to how Incognito Mode works. Now, if you have gone to publisher sites, paywalled sites, let's say, that offer a free kind of number of free articles every month, and suddenly you go to the article and it says, well, you can't read anymore. You've reached your 5 free article limit or whatever. For a while, people had realized that by using Incognito, they could continue to get those free articles. It would always keep that number, that tabulated number set at 0, viewed articles, and you could continue going back. Well, at some point, some of the news sites began to realize that though they could not identify, they couldn't place cookies or anything to track how many free articles you've read in Incognito, they could identify that there was a change in the file system API that was used to detect Incognito Mode, because Chrome was disabling the file system, or Chrome is going to disable the file system API. But prior to this, there was just some sort of recognition that the file system API was being used, and the sites could see that. And so they were then changing their behavior to say, well, if you're using Chrome and you're using Incognito, then we aren't going to let you, have any of these free articles. So there's going to be a change that Google is going to roll into Chrome 76 that will prevent that trace from happening. So I guess if you want to use Incognito to read more articles, you can. I do not imagine publishers will be very happy about that, but Google is doing that for you.
Yeah, this is kind of a security issue. And actually, Steve talks about it on Security Now this week. That people were kind of misusing this, and it's not a good thing to leave open.
Yeah,
I think people believe Incognito Mode is like super safe, secure, and private, and it depends is really the best answer. I mean, if you never close the tab, it's I guess they call it ephemeral mode at Google.
Ephemeral.
There we go. That's why I didn't work with that team. So once you close it, everything kind of disappears, but it's not as private as people might think. It's not carte blanche to just do what you want and think you're not being tracked.
Right. Yes, there is definitely a limit wall that you run up to. Private in some ways, not private in others. I'm curious about this one. You wrote about the Pixel Slate that's on sale right now. If you go to the Play Store, you get $100 off, and you get a keyboard along with it.
You do. You get your choice of keyboard, and this deal started on the 21st of July and ends, I believe, the 27th. So end of this week. So it'll be a couple days after the show, goes out across to everybody that you can do this. So you get $100 off any model, even the $1,600 model, which I wouldn't recommend to anybody. It's just overkill. I mean, honestly,
total overkill. Yes,
it's. I mean, I want a Core i7 Chromebook, but I don't want one with the mobile type processor because that just doesn't really buy you that much. But so you can get the Core M3 model or the Core i5 model. That's the one I bought. Instead of $9.99, mine would cost $8.99, and then I would get a free either Google Pixel Slate keyboard or the Bridge Type G keyboard, which is actually quite good. So you have your choice. I see a lot of people kind of scoffing at this. Like, there's a conversation on Reddit, and they're like, "Yeah, make it $200 and I'll take it." Or the company's already said they're getting out of tablets, so why would you bother? I think that's kind of harsh because it doesn't mean they're not going to support these things. As clearly, as we've already said, they're continuing to improve the tablet experience in Chrome OS for all Chrome OS devices, including the Pixel Slate. So, if the device is not for everybody, I'm not saying everybody should jump on this deal, but if you're split between, say, 50% media consumption or tablet mode versus 50% laptop mode, it's possibly worth considering. If you are a pure Chromebook user, no, this is probably not the best deal in the world for you.
Yeah. I think that's the right advice right there. And I am now using my Pixelbook from the year prior. I had been using the Slate up until the news actually that you were just talking about, where Google, kind of, I can't remember if they officially announced or what the wording was around that, but basically them getting out of the tablet business. But that at that point, it was kind of my indication that, okay, I can go back to the thing that actually works better for me, which is the laptop environment. I really ended up in my, however long I was using the Slate since it launched up until like maybe a month ago, I had never taken it out in tablet mode and had any sort of use for it in that particular mode. So I think you're absolutely right. If you envision wanting to use it in a tablet sort of way, maybe media consumption or something along those lines, it makes a whole lot more sense. But if you just want a Chromebook, just because it's the latest one that Google put out doesn't mean you have to get that one. The Pixelbook is fantastic, and I have to imagine they're going to update the Pixelbook this year at some point.
I believe they are, and something hit the FCC about 3 hours ago. From Quanta. I know it's not on the list, but I literally just wrote it up before the show. 9 to 5 Google actually found this in the FCC filings. Quanta has gotten the okay to, I guess it's a change in, I forget what they call it. It's a change in certification or something. Basically, they're going to use a new Wi-Fi chip from Intel, the Intel Wireless 9265, in some device. That device happens to have a device ID that sounds very much like the Pixelbook and Pixel Slate. So chances are it is the likely Pixelbook successor. And we're pretty much set on believing that's to be the Atlas Chromebook, which has been in the works for a year and a half throughout all the code commits in Chromium. So I think October's looking good for whatever Atlas is called, Pixelbook 2, Pixelbook 2019, Jason's Pixelbook. I don't know what they're going to call it.
Yeah, totally. I think you nailed it. I think that's what it should be. Awesome. Well, I will look forward to that because I love my Pixelbook. It really is a great laptop, great computer. I feel just as productive with this as any machine that I have. The Slate was fine. Like operationally, the Slate was the same. I mean, Chrome OS is Chrome OS, right? So it was the same. The keyboard was maybe a little less. I liked it less than I liked the Pixelbook keyboard, but and definitely kind of the extension. I ended up with the Slate keyboard, the kind of like flexible one as opposed to the bridge one. And I liked it for some reasons, but sorry.
Yeah. It has a big footprint because of the way it's designed. I mean, mine is sitting right here next to me and it's still my daily driver. I do use it in just like pure tablet mode to watch content when I'm lounging around the house. I've actually found it useful. I take it to campus, 2-3 times a week and do my CS coding on it in Java. And then when we have study groups, it's so much easier to just like take it out and just pass it around. People look at code as we're going over things because it's just a tablet at that point. But that's a really specialized use case. And again, most people don't need that. They'd be better off with a pure Chromebook.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Cool. We got some late breaking news in there as well. Also, Google has announced they announced last May that'd be looking closely at Chrome extensions to be sure that they're playing nice with personal data. Well, this week, Google announced 2 new Chrome Web Store policies to be enforced sometime later this year. They switched from developers being encouraged to abide to required to abide by policy that requests access to the least amount of data. I don't know how you justify what the least is, but there you go. They are now required to do that. Also, extensions dealing with personal communications and user-provided content must post privacy policies. So
this is a good thing. I mean, I think it was just last week where some browser extensions gathered data from like 4 million users.
Right.
That's not good. So.
Yep.
That's not good.
That's not good.
Bad extension.
We don't like that.
We like good. We like rewards of up to $150,000 if you happen to be a Chrome OS bounty hunter. You can make up to $150,000 if you demonstrate an attack that compromises Chromebook or Chromebox in the restricted guest mode. So if you're looking for a big payday and you got some time on your hands, no big deal.
Kevin, this is how you could fund your new mesh network purchases.
I was just thinking, heck yeah. I could remove all the ads from my site. I could get new mesh networking gear.
Yep.
Yeah. Just one bug is all it takes. It's like winning the lottery.
We've solved your problem. You can't win if you don't play.
That's right.
Yeah. I think that's how it goes. And then finally, I love that we have this Chrome block. This is a nice, solid Chrome block here. Kevin, you wrote about the Dell's upcoming Chromebook with integrated LTE. What's that all about?
Yeah, so we don't see too many Chromebooks with integrated LTE anymore. The last one, I think, was the Samsung Chromebook Plus V2 that came out about a year ago. Obviously, the second Pixelbook had LTE, or was it the first one? I forget which. Or not Pixelbook, the
Chromebook Pixel. Yeah, the first one had it.
Yeah, right. Jeff really. This is a feature Jeff has been hankering after.
Yeah, I haven't seen, based on the Wi-Fi chip on the Atlas, I don't think we're going to see LTE in there, but it sure looks like, well, I'm pretty much 100% feeling positive about this. Dell is got two Chromebooks in the work. One is called codenamed Sarien. The other is called Arcata. And there's been some testing being done on the Verizon wireless network for integrated LTE on Sarien. So I captured this right out of the Google Chromium bug reports. So it's legit. It sure looks to me like at least one of the two from Dell will indeed have LTE. Dell hasn't announced these, of course. One of these may be detachable based on Chrome commits. One appears to be a traditional 2-in-1. The reason I say Dell is the likely brand is because some people with Dell email addresses have actually responded in the code commits to approve the code changes. So it's, again, pretty likely that that's the case. So don't know when. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see two new options, and at least one of them with LTE, which you're right, Stacey. Jeff and many other people want LTE in their Chromebooks.
Yeah, it's a bummer we don't see more of them. That was a really cool feature. And I mean, these companies should know that if they make one, Jeff will buy it. So
yeah.
Yes.
Maybe no one else
Jarvis
will.
Custom
Jeff
electronics business.
Exactly.
I hear that's a highly lucrative market.
It is.
Yeah.
Someone's just got to take the reins.
A lot of people don't see the benefit. At least I've gotten comments from my readers on the LTE integration, and they're like, I don't see the benefit. I've got a phone that can be a hotspot, and I've got unlimited data. So what do I need this for? And I get that. I understand that. But using your phone as a hotspot eats through battery very fast.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you need at the end of the day? You need your phone to have a charge, maybe not your Chromebook. So I tend to not use my phone as a hotspot. Integrated LTE would be nice.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about a few other things going on, maybe a little of the antitrust stuff, the Department of Justice, Facebook has some interesting stuff going on, the changelog. We've got a few things to still wrap up, but before we get there, I want to welcome our old friend Leo Laporte back to the show. Leo, pull up a chair over in the corner over there and tell me something.
If you don't mind, I'd like to interrupt real quick just to mention a new advertiser that I think has a great product, and I know a lot of you will want. They're called Hrefs. Now, it's a little confusing because the A is silent in Hrefs. It's spelled, and anybody who knows HTML will recognize the pun here, ahrefs.com. It's a problem. Anybody who's got a website, whether you're a big business, a small business, maybe you're a freelancer, getting traffic to your website is always tough. It's not always clear what you need to do. And if you ask Google, they say, well, just make better content. No. There's also a lot of SEO snake oil. People who are selling you expensive services that really, frankly, don't do anything. I love Ahrefs. It's an all-in-one set of tools for search engine optimization. Gives you the tools you need to help you rank on Google, and it really works. For instance, Ahrefs has competitive analysis. Are there sites that are showing up better than your site when they search for your category, those competitors are beating you out. How are they doing it? Ahrefs will show you how your competitors are getting traffic from Google, what they're doing. You'll see the pages and the content that sends your competitors the most traffic. You also find out the exact keywords your competitors rank for and which backlinks are helping them rank. And from there, you can replicate their strategies, or better yet, improve on their strategies and improve on your ranking. If you're not getting significant search traffic, Ahrefs tools will help you find topics worth creating pages on or content on, topics that will drive traffic for you. You can easily see, in fact, what kind of search volume you're going to get from that particular new page or content. You can gauge the traffic potential. They have this Keywords Explorer tool that'll let you try ideas and see what kind of results you're going to get. It really helps you direct your efforts into the most effective way to build traffic to your website. And after all, building traffic to your website means building business for you. If you're getting search traffic already, you might want to know things like the top pages report that helps you break down which of your pages are bringing in the most traffic, which aren't. It really is helpful to know all this. Information is power. And I think this is so good and it's so affordable. In fact, they offer a lot of free information. If you check out the Ahrefs blog or go to their YouTube channel, you get step-by-step tutorials. And I love the tools. $7 for 7 days. That is a great trial. 7-day trial, just $7. Here's how you get it. Go to ahrefs.com, ahrefs.com. Get it? The A is silent. Play on Ahrefs. ahrefs.com. The A is silent. $7 for 7 days. I think you're going to find these tools incredibly valuable. We thank Ahrefs so much for supporting This Week in Google. I thank you for supporting us by going to ahrefs.com. Now, back to the show.
Thank you, Leo. I catch the ball. You go back to your vacation. I've got this. Settle down. So, a few interesting things of note. Tony Rome at the Washington Post had a scoop earlier this week that the FTC was going to issue a $5 billion fine to Facebook for privacy violations that were related to the Cambridge Analytica kerfuffle. It's 2 times today that I've been able to say that word from last year. And the FTC molds stronger penalties, ultimately deciding to go with $5 billion as the fine. Officially today, the FTC announced this. The largest fine in U.S. history for privacy violations, although many people are thinking it didn't go far enough.
Well, how much did their stock go up that day?
Well, that's a good question. So this was a couple of...
Six, in fact. $6 billion their stock went up.
A couple of days ago when it was rumored to be happening.
It was rumored to be happening.
And then what is the change today now that
that's a good question.
Now that the FTC has officially announced it? Let's see here.
What's their
It's still going up. I mean, yeah, it's up 1.4% today. So,
yeah.
I mean, Facebook's doing all right.
Yep.
Not too shabby. I mean, there's other components of this. It grants federal regulators 20 years of access to Facebook's business decisions. Facebook basically has to create some sort of an independent committee in its board of directors to monitor and oversee privacy and then report quarterly to FTC on compliance for the next 20 years. Facebook was not required to admit guilt. Facebook is absolved of anything prior to like 2018. So, I mean, many people just kind of are arguing that $5 billion is a bargain for the fact that Facebook got away with so much and doesn't have to change any of their ad practices going forward. What do you guys think?
This is the orders that came through with this are pretty lame. I mean, they're like, hey, Facebook, encrypt user passwords and scan to detect if any of those user passwords are in plain text. Like, everyone should be doing this. Yeah. And don't use or don't grab email passwords from other services. That's not the issue. The issue is things like tracking pixels and not backhanded, agreements between companies to share data that consumers may not be aware of.
Right.
Facebook is prohibited from using telephone numbers obtained to enable a security feature for advertising, which is like the bare minimum. I don't know if you guys all remember, but they had done this thing where they were like, hey, give us your phone number for two-factor. And then suddenly people were like, hey, they seem to be using my phone number for other stuff. They also said that they were going to take action against Cambridge Analytica, take legal action against the FTC announced they were going to take legal action against Cambridge Analytica. But overall, this is pretty lame. Oh, and there's a thing about facial recognition saying that Facebook must provide clear and conspicuous notice of all its use of facial recognition technology and obtain affirmative express user consent prior to any use that materially exceeds its prior disclosures. So basically, if it wants to do new stuff with your old photos, it has to get more consent from you on that. And going forward, it has to ask. But again, these are
table stakes.
Pretty. Yeah, these are basic. This is not new ground. But the FTC feels uncomfortable going too far because there's no actual legal, there's no congressional rules. And this is an area where we do actually need Congress to step up and come up with some sort of privacy regulations. Because the FTC is right. It cannot go forward and like make new laws, right? It can only regulate the existing laws on the books. And Facebook could come back. It didn't in this case, but it could have come back and said, hey, you know what? We don't agree with you, FTC. And then this could have went into court, and even the basic recommendations that Facebook had agreed to might have been lost.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement. I mean, everybody, you can debate if 5 billion is enough or not enough, et cetera. That, to me, that's not the issue. It's what does the company have to do going forward?
Right.
Not too much different. I mean, yeah, there'd be a little more oversight and so on, but I think it's a missed opportunity. I wonder. But,
again, I would say it's a wake-up call to say, hey, our regulatory agencies don't have the tools they need to actually go after these problems that we're seeing with the world that we have in front of us with technology.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It's a shame. I mean, it's not like Facebook is a new company or any of these social networks are like brand new. I mean, heck, not that they're involved with this, but I think I joined Twitter in 2006, so 13 years ago. You know, that's when you started having all this social networking really taking off. And if you didn't see this coming, it's like, come on, guys, what are you doing? But one question I have, where's the $5 billion go? Because it was individual citizens whose privacy was abused basically, and yet we're not getting the money, are we? No,
absolutely not. Yeah, that's a really good question, and it'll be interesting to see like what you're talking about at congressional oversight. Like, also in the news today, Attorney General William Barr announced, I don't know if this was today or yesterday, but the Justice Department is opening a big antitrust review of all the big tech companies, Facebook included. That was yesterday. Facebook included, of course, but also Google, Amazon, Apple, to really take a look and examine the online platforms, their practices in search, social media, retail. Who knows how much teeth that has?
So that feels way more political than it does a legit effort to enforce or to implement real privacy regulations. That feels like Trump called Barr and was like, I'm pissed at these companies. Fix it.
Right.
Make their lives miserable. Add a tariff.
Well, yeah, in fact, didn't he even tweet about this?
Yes.
Many people are talking about these companies getting too big. May ask Barr to look into it.
And what do you know? Barr's looking into it.
How about that?
But the Justice Department will be working alongside the FTC. The FTC had already created a task force to monitor tech competition last February, but now they're going to be working together to explore these issues. I think they already have to some degree, but so I don't know if that will influence what we're talking about as well with Facebook somewhere down the line.
The FTC issued a really excellent report all the way back in 2015 about the dangers to people's privacy. It had the same things that we've talked about in terms of social networking, in terms of like metadata collection, in terms of location data collection. It had all of this. And the FTC's ultimate conclusion was this report is like, this is a big problem. As an agency, we don't have the legal grounding to protect consumers. Congress, please write a law. 4 years later, we are still waiting for that law. And this was a report that was started in 2013. It took them a year and a half to make this report. It drives me absolutely bonkers. Because we look at this like this is something they can actually solve, and they can't. And we keep ignoring the fact that we actually need to do something from a legislative perspective. And given how slow we are here and the fact that we have nothing credible on the table, we're still 3 or 4 years out. And this fine, if anything, shows you're like, oh, it's $1 billion. But basically it shows this is like the literal limit of what the FTC can do.
Yep.
And it's pretty lame.
It's a good way to put it. I think you're spot on. Completely agree. Barr also, by the way, yesterday said that encryption should include backdoors for law enforcement to protect us. So yeah, we've heard that one before too. So who knows where that's going to lead? And he's considered legislation to force tech companies to do this. I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. Am I missing anything before we jump into the changelog? Anything that we've skipped over that you guys definitely wanted to talk about? So I figure we can do the changelog, do some tips and picks and stuff.
I thought that the German courts deciding that Deutsche Telekom for the owner of, well, it's not the owner of T-Mobile anymore, but saying that they couldn't use Stream On and zero rating was kind of a useful thing. It's not in the US, but I was like, go Germany for enforcing net neutrality, even if it's, benefiting consumers, because it's the principle that we need to implement. Okay, that's it.
Mm-hmm. I missed that one.
I mean, actually, related to that, I think I just read today, and I'll see if I can dig up a link real quick, but in India, is it Netflix that is coming out with
like a $2 service or something?
$3.
Exactly, $3.
It's a mobile-only service. So, yeah, that I would like that.
You're not in India.
It's limited to
Although I already have Netflix for everything in my house.
So DVD quality.
Yeah, that's true. It's 480p.
Yep.
Okay, if it's still $288 a month, when you do the conversion,
it's
199 rupees.
Who cares, right? You don't need like 1080p on your phone.
No, totally.
Or do you?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on your phone.
You will with that Pixel 3a.
Yeah, you'll be missing it on the Pixel 3a, but even then, if you're only paying $3 a month, who cares?
A lot of cell phone providers will only give you 480p.
780?
720 or 480.
720, that's it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
480, 490.
Yeah, who knows? Who cares?
Somewhere around there. Yeah. That's a bargain right there.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
When I win that bug bounty, I'm going to move to India.
There you go. Your money's going to go far.
Oh, we'll never record again, Kevin. It'll be way
Netflix
too
for
early
life.
or too late.
That is true. And it's time. Why don't we jump into the Google changelog?
The Google changelog.
Log. And we've got a few bits and pieces in here. Google Photos updated for Android, or is updating rather. I don't know that I've seen the update yet. To bring live video preview into the main Photos tab. So if you're scrolling through, there happens to be a video in there. Instead of just showing you a video with a little indicator that or like a thumbnail with a little indicator that it is a video, that video is going to start playing. No audio, so the little thumbnails will start playing. One at a time. So if you got a page filled with a bunch of videos, it's not going to have all of them playing. That would be kind of chaotic. It'll play the oldest one and then move to the next one. But it'll play in full if you hover there long enough and don't want to hear the audio. There you go. I find myself when I'm scrolling through social media and there's a video there, I do it all the time now. I don't even think about it. I end up watching and reading the subtitles instead of actually listening. It's a feature I never thought I would be happy to use, and yet I do it all the time. So
Me too.
yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Very useful. Google announced a ban to root certificates that are owned by dark matter. This after Mozilla actually banned them 2 weeks ago. Dark matter is reported to be involved with surveillance operations affecting human rights activists, journalists, and foreign governments. So Google is cracking down on the dark matter. That's a good thing. Also, I like this. I think this will be really cool. Google's updating fast pair functionality in Android later this year to allow for better battery life information, better battery life data for wireless earphones. They're basically going to rope this into Android Q, the UI, in the settings or whatever. So it's going to allow you to see if you're using a fast pair enabled earphone brand or model. It's going to allow you to see the remaining battery on each independent earphone, the remaining battery inside of the charger, whether the charger is open or closed, be able to unpair, which, I think you can still do that. Also to ring them and track them and find, Find My Device. So,
and it may not just be for Android, because there are bits and pieces of code and some screenshots on Reddit showing it on Chromebooks as well.
Oh, nice. That would make a lot of sense. That would be really cool. I like that. I think that's an awesome feature. This is neat and very useful. Google research team built something called Smiley. It's a tool that acts as reverse image search for aiding in cancer diagnosis. Smiley stands for similar medical images like yours. And essentially what it's designed to do, it's a tool that the user would drop in a sample image from a patient, and Google's machine learning algorithms would then compare it to the Cancer Genome Atlas to compare regions. And it gives doctors or whoever happens to be using this tools for closer specification, for determining what results the system should return. It's basically all about identifying what exactly they're looking at compared to other samples in the Cancer Genome Atlas. It's an experiment for now. Doctors who used it said they preferred it over their traditional interfaces. That sounds like a really useful technology for something like this. And I just have to imagine we're going to see more and more of this sort of thing in medicine. That is really cool. And then finally, Google will mark apps in the Play Store with a new label when an app is not meant to target younger age groups. It will be not designed for children will be the call out. It'll appear just under the install button and show a little yellow triangle to get your attention. It will always be present there. Developers are required to specify target age range for their apps. They have a deadline of September 1st to make that happen. But that'll make it easier when you're in the Play Store to know whether this is something that might not be appropriate for younger children. Scooter X in chat says it's already there. And
what would be fun or interesting or helpful?
What's that?
Is to actually, I guess they can't do this without keeping data, but giving parents the ability to create an account for their kids. And I know there's Family Link, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then being able to put that over an entire device that you could actually lock to even just Google services would be interesting. So then the YouTube, it's tied to the hardware, not necessarily to the hardware, but to the whole OS for the phone. So it's like an Android for under 13 set, right? And that way it would make it easier for parents trying to manage stuff, but things like Safe Search could be by default, figuring out, the App Store would only show these, appropriate apps.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
So then
YouTube would be
then
YouTube Kids.
Yeah, they would be so pissed. But so I don't know. You could even. Do you do this right now when you upload a YouTube video? Can you specify age range or explicit content? I can't remember. It's been forever since I've paid attention.
I haven't uploaded a video to YouTube in a long time.
Yes, people will still game the system, but you could verify things, and maybe that makes it maybe by adding just a few extra constructs when you upload content, you could still make it relatively easy for stuff to be vetted. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm hopelessly naive.
It's a good idea. And I don't know if you can do that on Android. I know on the Chromebook side, you can kind of do that and like limit access to the Play Store or a subset of apps or et cetera. But I don't know about Chrome OS. I'm sorry, about Android.
Scooter X coming to the rescue again, says age-restricted videos are not visible to users who are logged out, are under 18 years of age, or have restricted mode enabled.
Nice.
You have to do all of those things. And gives a link in the chat room.
But how do you know if something's age-restricted? Thank you, Scooter X.
Right.
You are a delightful human being.
I have to imagine, that the person uploading the video adds the flag, but of course not everybody's going to add that flag especially if they have ill intentions. So how is that tracked and enforced? I don't know.
And this isn't going to, anyway. I mean, because I just think of things like on Apple with with iTunes or with podcasts, for example, we keep our podcast clean because we don't want to get flagged, right? I think you guys probably do the same thing as explicit, because then that lumps you off into this nether world. Oh, sorry, I'm going to sneeze.
Oh no. Maybe you won't. Oh, you will. You will. Okay. Because it's just the worst when you have that build up and then you don't end up sneezing. I feel cheated when that happens. Bless you. Bless you again.
I'm just going to sneeze for a long time, you guys.
Bless you, Stacey.
The point is, Google is not as active as Apple.
You're allergic to this story. I get it. I understand. Well then, why don't we move into picks? And Stacey, I won't select you first. We'll give you time to recover. Kevin.
Give me a minute.
Yes. Kevin, what's your stuff?
So it's rather timely and historical, I think. There's a YouTube channel of a guy. I think the channel is Curious Mike. I forget, but I've got a link in the show notes. And what this guy does is he buys, finds, and repairs computer hardware from the 70s and all kinds of old stuff. And he stumbled onto a guy who bought the actual Apollo guidance computer for the moon landing.
No way.
Yes, he did. He
crap.
He restored it. And this is a lengthy video and it can be boring at some times, but what he's done is he has literally replicated the lunar landing or an attempt at it. And you can see how difficult it is to program this thing because it's all done by numbers. Like he would say, okay, program 65, we're going to run that for 45 seconds. And he would literally type 65, enter, 45, enter, and then wait. And the program would kick in. What amazes me, not that just that he restored it and can replicate the landing, it's just amazing to me that this is what was used to land on the moon 50 years ago. Like he's entering, and that 7 key is stuck. He's entering, whatever the ignition now, and then he has to put something else in, and that kicks off the sequence for something else to happen. That's the interface. It's all numbers.
And 50 years ago, this was like crazy high tech right here, and it was
only NASA level technology.
Yes, and it's only crazy now to think about it because
rocket science, people.
Things have changed so much since then, but this was the future.
Yeah, it's the whole series. I think this is like part 21 of restoring the Apollo computers. But he debuted this on the day the people landed on the moon, and 50 years later, and it was just amazing to see. And how challenging it was to use. I mean, these guys were able to, quote unquote, land on the moon with us, but even so, their horizontal speed was like 21 feet per second, so they would have tipped the lunar lander over. So just amazing that we could do that with this.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, that is really something. That is really
worth
cool.
the watch. Worth the watch.
Worth more views than it has. It's something like 34,000 views. It's kind of crazy.
People don't seem to care about computers from the 60s and 70s like I do. I mean,
I'm going to watch the hell out of this.
Carson's going to have it on repeat in our office. I'm going to come in.
Is this a thing for you, Carson?
I am fascinated with the computer technology of Apollo 11. I have a little Lego figure of Margaret Hamilton on my desk.
Very nice.
So yeah. This
one's for you.
Thank you very much.
That would be Carson's stuff as well. All right, Stacey, are you feeling better?
Yes.
Recovered?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I think so.
What you got?
What do I? Oh, I know what I have. Okay. This is something I bought at the beta store because I don't know. I was at the beta store. And this is for bras. So this is probably 90% of your audience is going to be like, nope, done. But I was fascinated by the idea that this is where to go? It's called the Soma, InnoFit. And it is made you put this guy over you. It's like a little sports bra looking thing. And you try it on and it measures your boobs and your chest basically to give you the right bra size. Oh, and here I am showing mine, but you've got that up on there. So great. And it is accurate. It works with your phone. And then the downside, though, for me is I paid $25 for this because it's connected and I had to try it. But it locks me into buying only bras from a certain brand. And I haven't gotten my bras yet, but the wire cutter says that they may not fit as well. And that's disappointing because I love the idea. The company that does this is called Like a Glove. And their goal, or one of their goals, is to make products like to allow you to buy clothes virtually that will fit you and that you'll have but it's only as good as how the data is applied. And this doesn't look like it's being applied very individually. So that's being able to tie my measurements to a given manufacturer is really useful. And for the guys there who may not realize this, bras are sized very individually. So a 34C in one brand is not the same as a 34C in another brand. And it's very frustrating when you're trying to actually buy a bra. So
if I could make a recommendation, my wife's newest favorite subreddit is r/a bra that fits. And they go way deep into this. If we have listeners who are having trouble getting bras that fit, go to Reddit, reddit.com/r/a bra that fits, and they will help you out.
They might even have their own review of the of the InnoFit.
The Soma
InnoFit.
Which, I'm also curious about hey, sensor technology in clothing is always one of my favorite things. So, but yeah, I was a little disappointed in the experience so far. But we'll see if the bras I get are a revelation.
Right. Oh my goodness. Never better. Yeah.
Because if not, then True & Co., which just has you do a questionnaire and basically algorithmically comes up with different across many brands, the ones that would work for you, which is a way better idea than this.
Right.
But we'll see.
Right. Yeah, having to buy a piece of technology to figure it out versus just going on a site that's really good at understanding the numbers between all the different brands.
It's kind of which future is going to be our
right,
future.
Which is the better future here?
I know which one I want, but if this is more accurate, I'd rather have that.
Yeah. Awesome. That's the Soma InnoFit. And we've included a link in the show notes to a Wirecutter review of that as well to check out. My pick is a new app that Google actually just announced today. It's called Gallery Go. And, Google has released a lot of its main apps in Go versions, which are basically meant to be low footprint apps, very lightweight apps that replicate much of the functionality of their full-size app counterparts. But in many cases, it's very much intended for locations around the world that are maybe, less access to data, or people don't, have a data plan in some cases, or whatever, or their devices might be lower spec. All of these, so it doesn't have enough storage to hold the larger apps. And so this falls into that category, Gallery Go. And I don't know if you have the All About Android over-the-shoulder camera. I forgot to. Oh, that works.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. It's okay. They're my pictures anyways, so you don't need to see them full screen. But it's all on device. It's 10 megs for the app entirely. It's all offline, so none of this is synced to the web like your normal Google apps would be. It's just everything that's stored on your device. It has an auto coloration function, and I can kind of do a before and after there. Go ahead and cancel that. Also got some basic editing controls like rotate, crop, and a number of different filters and stuff that you can hop between. And you can save a copy once you're done with that. And I mean, that's really it. You've got the images, of course, laid out there. It seems to denote screenshots that are saved on my phone, so that's kind of interesting. I guess I have a lot of screenshots saved on here. And then it does have a separate section for video files as well that you can go into as well. So if you're looking for a lightweight gallery that isn't the full-blown Google Photos experience, you can look for Gallery Go. It's actually available today. Like I said, it's designed for developing markets, but it's available to all, and you can find it in the Play Store for free, of course. That is Gallery Go. And that, as they say, is that. And we've reached the end of this week's episode of This Week in Google. And Stacey and Kevin, thank you so much for hopping on today with me. This was a lot of fun. It always is.
It is.
Getting the chance to
appreciate
chat
it.
with you guys.
Too bad we never got a chance to see Kevin's glasses.
Yeah, it's still kind of
Focus.
a fuzzy feed.
Well, the Google, I got the Google Wi-Fi access point working on a break, and for some reason it's connected to this new Wi-Fi point, but the upload speed is utter crap. So I'm going to go deal with that.
Right on. Well,
I apologize.
If it's any consolation, I think your glasses look great in like 280p or whatever we're looking at you right now.
Not even. Thank you.
You bet. AboutChromebooks.com is your site. And of course, you also do the IoT podcast along with Stacey. Anything else you want to plug, Kevin?
Not that I can think of.
All right.
Enjoy the Apollo
Video
landing computer.
All right. Cool. Will do. Thank you again, Kevin. Always great.
Thanks. And
Stacey, thanks to you each and every week for doing the show and for letting me fill in for Leo this week. I appreciate it. IoTpodcast.com, StaceyOnIoT.com for your newsletter. What am I missing here? Anything?
No, that's it.
That's about it? Right on. Well, it's a pleasure, as always, Stacey and Kevin. Thank you again. And, Leo's back next week, so he'll be sitting in the hot seat. You'll have him back on the show, and I imagine Jeff will be back next week as well. We'll certainly find out.
Yes, he will.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Carson, by the way, for setting all this up and producing. Appreciate it. You can watch the show each and every week on Wednesdays. It records 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 2000 UTC. If you go to twit.tv/live, you can watch it as we record it live, or you can go to the show page, twit.tv/TWIG. There you're going to find a fantastic hero image up top and all of the episodes, every single episode of This Week in Google down below, all 518 of them, including today's, as well as links to subscribe, to audio, to video, find the show notes. Everything is detailed there. YouTube links, it's all there. Twit.tv/TWIG. And with that, I think we've reached the end. Thank you so much. We'll see y'all next week on another episode of This Week in Google. Bye, everybody.